Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin. Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin. It's the Jackie and Laurie Show. The Jackie and Laurie Show. It's the Jackie and Laurie Show. The Jackie and Laurie Show.
Yeah.
Okay. We started?
Yeah, it started and I got the Zoom to work that for some reason the last time I tried to make it work did not work. I'm Jackie Cation.
Hi, I'm Laurie Kilmartin. We're waiting for Kyle, and the more we talked about comedy, that we got so depressed. I thought we would both kill ourselves before Kyle got here.
He's going to come in about 15 minutes, and he's going to be real excited. Maybe I'll write down time codes so he can pick things.
Sure.
In other news, you want to change the name of the show to Jackie Cation Blows Up Her Career.
Oh, no, what happened?
Well, just all day long, I've been getting just questions about Lewis and Acme. And remember that a year ago, the last time I played Acme, they asked, we were out to dinner, and the Jezebel thing had just come out, asking different club owners if they would book Louis C.K.
Oh, right.
And he said, yeah, I would book Louis C.K. And I said, yeah. I said, and I told everybody on this podcast, if I remember correctly, maybe I wrote it down. We'll never know. Because I'm not listening to it again. And then I said to Louis Lee at dinner, well, then you're a jackass. And then he laughed in my face.
Oh, God.
Because here's the scoop.
Right.
Is you can't tell Louis Lee what not to do. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know this about comics. This might be a human condition, is that when you tell some people, that you can't do something, that's the only thing they fucking want to do.
Right.
And the other thing is Louis is a longtime friend of idiot comic Louis C.K.
Right.
And
they have the same first name, Jackie.
They really do.
They have a bond that only Lewis's share.
That only Lewis's share. And I've already, because of this podcast, I'm blaming this podcast.
Go ahead. I hate it too. Please, shit all over it.
Is the last time we had drama where everybody tagged us online.
Yeah.
You have to care about this. You have to care about this.
Right.
I stood up.
Right.
For comics everywhere.
Right.
And lost 3 weeks of work.
Yeah.
Forever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I don't know if people know
emailed
this.
that guy. I haven't heard back.
And nothing from that guy as well from a year. So I don't know if people know this about stand-up comedy. The power does not often lie within the headliners.
You know, here's the thing. It's really fucking hard to get work. And if you're, like, I'm protected because I got a writing job.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you're a working comic and you are just making your money off club work, you're working 35, 40 weeks a year.
That's me.
35 to 40 different jobs a year you have to get.
Right.
Okay. And they each last less than a week and then they're over. And then you cross your fingers and hope you can come back next year.
Right.
It's really fucking hard to get work.
Right.
There's a lot of comics and there's a million reasons not to book people. It's really hard for female headliners to get work.
Right.
Okay. People can't look at the fucking club lineups.
Right.
It's really fucking hard to get work. Right. So asking a comic to voluntarily not work is ridiculous.
Right. So if there's a couple of like if I had 30 other A clubs,
right,
and I thought it would do anything, and if I thought that Lewis was doing it because he supports sexual harassment, if there was any number of reasons where it wasn't just he had been button pushed and he is a guy not to do that, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, and he there's a, I have this to say too, is if you're fucking tweeting at me and you work the Comedy Cellar who created this bullshit, you were the one who gave the blank check to Louis C.K. to do stand up again anyway. And you're still working that club? I don't have a lot of things.
Jackie.
We're not going to name names.
What are you doing? You just told me you didn't get 3 weeks of work from a different club.
Right.
Stand down, for God's sake.
I'm standing down. I don't have... No, I'm not complaining about the Cellar.
Yeah.
I'm complaining about the hypocrisy of someone saying, how could you work at a place like that when there any number of people? And here's the thing: it is hard to get into that club. And if your favorite club owner, if your home club owner has feet of clay,
Yeah.
so sad, too bad. And because everybody's day job, why don't you look around your day job and see who's the pedophile that you're tolerating,
right?
You know, because that isn't my home club owner. That he is not that guy. And so I am friends with Louis Lee, and I told him to his face that I thought it was a jackass move. And I also know why he did it, because he cannot be. He's not that guy.
He's ornery.
Yeah, you can't tell him, well, you can't book that guy. And he's like, it's none of your damn business.
You know, what you guys can do is not go to the shows.
Please don't.
What you could do is go...
They sold out in about 12 seconds.
Yeah, so
shows.
Honestly, asking people not to make money is fuck you. Asking, you know what, you can not buy something. You can not buy a ticket.
Right.
But asking other people to not pay their rent that month to make a stand is ridiculous. I read this really great article. I wish I...
Yeah, your side of the street. Clean your side of the street.
Yeah. About the Lean In, about Sheryl Sandberg's book, and how wrong it was to actually put out the idea that one woman at a time can undo this systemic sexism that is head to toe in the workplace,
right?
And that if you just lean in, you can make a difference. And then there's study after, women. Okay, so they ask for more money, they don't get it, they get fired. They, you get punished every single way. So telling you, Jackie Cation, you could make a difference if you stopped working a club. Right. That's gonna make a dent.
It's really going to make a difference.
It's
you know what
not.
It's going to make? It's going to make a difference in my fucking career.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, the thing is there's plenty of reasons, and some of the comics, like I've been all day long, I've been fielding,
Right. There's a comic was like, should I cancel my week? I'm worrying about it. Dude, you have a kid? No. You fucking cancel your week. And if you don't have a kid, don't cancel your week. You got to work. It's hard to get work.
It's hard to get work. And if you don't like and if you're a comic who doesn't like the club because they don't book you, yeah, we all have that. There are so many clubs that don't book me.
God, I know.
Specifically because they don't enjoy my stand-up comedy. Out loud, to have said it to my agent, have said it to my face, have said it via email.
Right.
Where, by the way, I continue to send avails. I send avails.
You never know. They might break.
That's it. It's water torture that I will not. I will waterboard a booker for a decade, for a frickin' decade with, hey, I remember I do stand-up comedy. You have a comedy club. Let's get together.
Right.
Austin, Texas, or wherever, right? And, but I just, there are comics though, and we've talked about them 100 times, who do that thing where they just do 400 room, either like 100 seat rooms, and then they build up their, those different towns. And it worked for some comics.
Like who?
Kinane.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Kinane did that?
Did he do that?
Yeah, Adomian did it.
Wow.
James Adomian, Cal Kinane.
Yeah.
Tig Notaro. She did that road trip with a couple other comics, and they slept in people's houses and did their living rooms. Remember that?
Wait, was that with John Doerr, where they did a documentary?
They
about
might
it or
have turned
something?
into that, but initially it was just was it with I'm spacing his name. Was it Fairbanks? Chris Fairbanks?
Maybe.
Whatever it sounded like a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because I came up in the club system.
Right.
And the club system for me means working with a guy who's going to touch your low back sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so many different levels of this kind of thing, and I can't afford it. I can't afford to turn down work.
No, it's true.
Feel free to judge me and know that I am not as brave as you would like me to be.
Are you going to see female comics every time they're in town? That's what I want to know. Are you not just Jackie and me, everybody.
Yeah.
Like, they look at ticket sales. That's what they care about.
That's what they care about.
Louis sells a lot of fucking tickets really fast, apparently.
Apparently he does, because it worked like a charm.
Did you read that, the copyright notice?
Oh, what they said?
It was
What copyright
it was
notice?
like,
or was it the disclaimer?
You're not allowed to. Okay, you're not allowed to read. I mean, I loved it.
Yeah.
But it's insane. But you're not allowed to record, or of course, and talk about and mention.
Talk about and mention?
Said like you're not allowed to quote a joke you heard that Louis said at Acme, like afterwards. Like you can't,
Like an NDA?
Basically, yes.
A non-disclosure agreement to go see a comic?
Yes, it's fascinating because, I mean, you got to, again, take him out of the equation.
Right.
Someone's working on a chunk, and somebody, did they record
Maybe
the
he'll do
Parkland one?
the bit. This is what I...
But did they record it or did they transcribed it, somebody? I forget the Parkland thing. I think it was maybe transcribed, right? Because I don't remember hearing it.
No, they I believe it was also video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
I thought it was, but I don't know.
Okay.
I certainly didn't listen to it. Whatever.
No matter, take the comic out of the equation. You're working on a chunk. It's not done till you say it's done.
Right.
So people can't be pulling it out of context and putting it online, right? No
Right.
matter who it is and no matter what the bid is, okay?
Right.
We don't know where that was going, and whatever, who cares? It's
Trying
more
it the first time.
It's like the First Amendment also counts for the KKK. Right? They can say whatever they want to. It's, that's the rule. But it's a I don't know if it's enforceable, his announcement.
It can't possibly be enforceable.
Yeah.
And there's no way that the Star Tribune didn't buy tickets.
What
the
do you
city
mean?
pages. I mean, the local newspapers in
Yeah.
Minneapolis. There's going to be
Oh,
reporters. in them.
sure.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't
There's
make...
no way. Yeah. And
I can't tell you how many times I read the consent joke on Twitter about that one, because he without his consent you're not allowed to do. It's everyone's okay.
it's all about consent.
Now he wants consent.
Now he wants consent.
If you Google Louis, if you search Twitter for Louis C.K.,
consent comes up.
versions of that joke come up
1,000
3,000 times. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I don't know.
speaking of burning material, I have, and that's all I'm talking. I mean, unless you want to talk about it more.
About Louis.
Yeah.
No. I don't know. I want to tell jokes, and I want to get laughs, and I want to keep working.
Yes.
And
That's the whole plan.
yeah.
And here's the other thing. I want to be as supportive as I can.
Right.
To other comics, both men and women, but women who don't get as much stage time.
Right. And
this is the only way to do that is from the inside. It's, I mean, there's no union. There's no
right.
There's no way to burn it down and reinvent it.
No. And there's no one.
And I don't want to.
No matter how many times you point out a club doesn't book women, they don't seem to give a fuck.
Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares.
It'll be a minor blip for a while, and then it just goes away, and everyone just keeps going. So we have no recourse, and we can't go to the EEOC and go, this club gives 1% of its spots to women.
Right.
Like we have no recourse whatsoever.
Right, there's nobody narking on. And then if you think about if it's 6 women out of 52 weeks, and then there's 10 other weeks that are all of the colors of the rainbow people, and then 16 from 52 is whatever the math is on that, 35, 36, 36 straight white guys. And because 10 of them are Asian, black. I mean, I worked with 2 Asian comics on this tour of Eastern Europe. Mm-hmm. All they were talking about is, we were all bitching about how hard it was to find work. And if you are an Asian comic without a hook or not famous, you're not going to get that work. Mm-hmm. And so the poor bastards that are comics, don't blame us. For the love of God, please don't. But do what you want with your own money, please.
Yeah, but you can not buy tickets. You cannot buy things.
Yeah, don't buy things. And And don't feel bad about not buying things.
Take that not buying things and buy other things with it. You can go to other shows. You can go if you love female comics, you can find other shows where women are headlining.
Right. Mm-hmm. Plenty of them. We're going to have a comic of the week later in the show.
Oh, I'm so tired.
And you know what it'll be? It'll be a woman. It'll be a woman comic that you can figure out how to give her some money. And but
okay, material. What were you talking about?
Okay, so I did the Portland Live Wire thing,
right.
Luke Burbank,
right?
And that was a set.
Yeah,
he hilariously introduced me. He said her current album addresses such topics as genocide, her mother's death, her stepmother's death, and the serious illness of her father. It's actually funnier than all of that. Please welcome Jackie Cation. And I got up and I was like,
"That is awesome!
I'm doing the genocide bit, you guys." And
that's great.
Yeah, and I did the genocide bit.
Who else was on with you?
A guy with a Netflix show called Special. His name's Ryan.
Oh yeah, right. I haven't
Ryan
seen
O'Donnell.
it. It's not a stand-up show though, right?
No, he's always been a writer. He has cerebral palsy. He's super gay.
Yeah.
And he came out as having cerebral palsy. He told people for decades that he got hit by a car. So he was like, I don't want to have the car. And he said, I did get hit by a car. And he said I had to come out and tell people
because the disease is stigmatizing.
He didn't want to. He was like, I got hit by a car. And he talked almost exclusively in emojis.
What do you mean?
He literally kept saying, I LOL'd.
Oh. How old is he? Is he till like 26?
Nope.
28?
No, I don't know how old he is. But it was hilarious because he spoke almost entirely in pop cultural references, emojis, and acronyms. And at one point, Luke Burbank had to go, just for the rest of us, if you could explain what that means.
TFW when. Oh my God.
It was pretty fun. And then there was a band. I'm gonna drop the name of the band, but it was like Get On It.
Okay.
Get With It.
Sure.
They were good. And a woman who was an editor for the New Yorker who just wrote a book, and she was the comma queen. And,
Oxford comma.
Yeah, along those lines.
Yeah.
And she was super interesting.
Yeah.
They should have flip-flopped him though, because he had all this energy and he could have. She's a nerd,
right?
And not a comic. So while she was super interesting and funny, she didn't have that high energy at the end of the show that the guy from Netflix would have had. But I think he had an early flight.
Okay.
So, but the show as a whole was a delight.
That's great.
And I was in Portland, Oregon for less than 24 hours.
Oh.
And it was, but I'm going back in 2 weeks with Maria to do Helium.
Fun.
And it should be great. 4 days. And,
that's sweet.
Yeah, that'll be great.
I'm at Flappers this weekend.
Are you at headlining?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mother's Day shows. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. The Mother's Day shows.
10th and 11th. And then I'm doing a show on Mother's Day in Grass Valley. That
where
a booker from back in the day put together for me. So I have to fly on Mother's Day morning. I got to fly out to Sacramento, then rent a car, drive like an hour to Grass Valley, do a 3 p.m. show, and then drive back and fly back here.
That is a grind, my friend.
You know what, though? I might sell some books. I'll bring some shitty moms.
You know what? I didn't know the Luke Burbank show, the band and the comma lady both had their books and CDs. Mm-hmm. And the band was like, you didn't bring your merch? And I was like, nobody told me to bring my merch. I would have brought some merch.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that I would have sold merch, but I might have.
Yeah.
And it's all right.
I am incredibly sore right now in places I didn't know I had.
That's right. You went with the thing and the boy and
the thing is my boy, and
you went with the thing.
So we did a survivalist camping weekend.
Oh my God! Tell me more, Laurie Kilmartin. Tell me more.
I'm angry.
You lived, right? Huh? Who didn't want that? Who didn't?
I realized I would be happy to die in an emergency situation. There's first of all, we got there and my kid kind of is like, all right, I guess so. I didn't know what it was. I'm like, yeah, let's try it. This seems fun. We'll be camping in the woods.
How long?
We got there Saturday morning, and we got back like 2 hours ago. So it was
an overnight.
Yeah, it was an overnight.
Okay.
Yeah. 2 hours ago, Sunday evening.
What?
Okay, so we get there, Big Bear.
Okay.
9 a.m. So 6 a.m. wake up on a Saturday. Sure. And my kid somehow, he's like, weekends are for sleeping in. Like he feels like his D+ effort is actual
somehow.
labor, and
Right.
he deserves to sleep in on. So already he's starting off on a bad note. So we get there. First thing we have to do is make a shack, like a lean-to out of debris, a debris shelter.
Oh, that's what it's called. A debris shelter.
So you find wood and you make an A-frame and you wrap it together, with a cord.
How many people are with you?
There's like 28 people total.
Okay.
Mostly people in pairs.
Okay.
And by the way, all people who wanted to be there. The only exception was my son.
Your son.
Right. Who I had to talk into every activity, and it got really depressed. It's like pushing a boulder uphill. And I could see other people just being like, hey, let's try this, and having that inquisitive attitude.
Right.
And then I turned to my son who's like, and doesn't want to do it and would rather be home, wants to play Terraria, So we make.
But he wants to spend time with you, right? He likes you.
You know what? I think he's over me.
Okay, well, fair enough. Good, you can do more sets. You don't have to cuddle with him or anything. You can just live your life now if he's done.
So we make this shelter, and it worked.
Okay, did it rain? How do you know?
No.
It worked?
I mean, technically it worked. Like
because
you couldn't see through anything. Like you lay down a bunch of leaves and pine needles and stuff like that. That's your bedding. Then you put this A-frame over it. Then you put like twigs and stuff over that, and you're just laying layers and layers upon layers of forest stuff on it, and it makes a little teeny tiny house.
Yes,
and so he was going to sleep in it. There was only room for one of us, and it took a lot. There wasn't time to make me one. Because there's never time for me to have anything.
No.
It's all got to go to everybody else.
It all does.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So then the guy running it's like, for some reason he decides to tell us there's 3 mountain lions covering this territory and a black bear and there's red ants. And my kid's like, no, I'm not sleeping in this shelter. So we ended up sleeping in my very comfortable 2006 Honda Accord.
Oh, really?
Horrific. So,
hey. Hello, Kyle, and welcome.
Flip flop, flip flop, flip flop.
We're finding out about Survivalist Camp. They made so were you just going to sleep in your car and he was going to sleep in the
Well,
lean-to?
Here's the thing. I brought a tent, but then the guy who was running it was like, basically his attitude is, if you don't sleep in the shelter, you're a pussy.
Yeah.
So I couldn't put the tent together because the directions were, it was like...
Wait, you could build a lean-to, but you couldn't put the tent together?
The tent has like 25 moving parts.
Okay.
And there was 2 directions. And I'm like, what is this? And I was already tired and I was hungry because I'd only eaten beef jerky all day. And I was like, fuck this, we'll sleep in the car. So I threw the tent all back in the back of the car. So we ended up sleeping there. But then we had to make fire. Okay. So again,
you wake up.
No, this is the same day. Same day as making a house. I have to make fire.
Right.
There's a lot going on in one day.
Yeah, that's a lot. How long did it take you to make the lean-to? Hours?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and we were kind of on a hill, so I'm sore.
Right.
I'm like, oh my, I thought I was in shape. I fucking work out a lot.
Yeah, you do.
Okay. I'm not. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
They're different muscles.
Okay. So fire, before, like, he goes, okay, he shows off this stormproof match. So he lights the fire and puts it in water and it's still burning.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, and he goes, well, optimum, you would have these. But let's say you don't. And, of course, at that point, my son's like, well, let's just have these.
Right.
We had to go get 4 different types of wood.
Okay.
And then carve them into these little shapes and make a bow drill where you just
my side of the mountain.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
We couldn't make fire, but about half the group couldn't.
Okay.
But now that we know about the stormproof matches, who's got the motivation, right? And then we slept, and then in the car, and then this morning, one of the things we had to do was rescue people.
Oh,
so
you had to give back to society. That's weird. Okay. I thought you were just supposed to survive.
That, but it's like, so, it's like, okay, you got a buddy with broken legs or a spinal injury. And already I'm like, I'm never going to camp like this. But okay, it's interesting. My kid's out in the wild. It's good for a boy to be out in the wild, right?
It's good. It's good to get some wild time.
Yeah, get some wild time.
Get some wild time.
So you have to.
It's better than screen time.
But we had to take two large pieces of wood, like branches, right?
Right.
And you turn your jacket inside out and you stick branches in the armholes, so you're actually
you're making a stretcher.
Yes, sure. It's kind of ingenious.
It's really ingenious.
And then a person sits on it, and then 8 people carry them, and we had to carry him up this thing and down a ravine. It was fucking work.
Yeah,
it was hard.
It is hard, but just think how hard it would be if someone had a broken leg. That would be sad for them. And then you'd be like, well, I guess we're going to bring this guy with us, or we're going to let him die.
I would let anyone die.
Right.
There's no one I would save in that manner.
Well, you just did it for free and for fun.
No, I paid.
Right.
Yeah.
You paid so that you
and then
could
we learned how to drink water and isolate, use chemical and filter and stuff like that with water and stuff.
Did you have those pellets or those things you put in to make it better?
Yeah, there's a little bit of everything like that.
Well, was there any way did they teach you what water was good without the pellets?
Almost none.
Okay. That's
because he's like, people are gross.
Yeah.
And the closer you get to people, the more you're going to have fecal matter. And then all you need is some animal to die at the top of a water source, and then all of a sudden everything's coming down into down the water. So you almost can't trust it unless you're at the top of a mountain where there's a spring.
And so did you boil the
water? And the rain
water?
Comes right into your cup.
Right. If you collected
he basically
rainwater.
said you got to boil water. Oh, and the other thing is, I didn't bring anything because I thought we'd have a lot of extra stuff. Like people are bringing axes and saws, and they've got a belt full of knives. And I'm like, I bought a Leatherman on Amazon, and it's fucking hard to open, and the knives are little tiny and they don't work that well. And the people had Bunsen, these were experienced campers, and they had Bunsen burner. They had whatever they cook with. Some dude had a coffee maker, and I was like, I got nothing. I thought we just brought I just brought beef jerky, and then I went to a store and bought white bread. I snuck out.
Right. Oh, that's a Leatherman? Kyle's got one, you guys.
Mine is worse.
It's this thing is one of those butterfly. It's got a pliers, and then there's knives.
There's too much happening there.
A nail
I bet you've never used. Oh, well,
yeah,
I
he's,
don't.
He's constantly being told, "Hey, come over here and be tall and big." So.
He's constantly stabbing people. What if what if that's what he does?
He could plot. He's the
Leatherman Killer.
The Leatherman Killer. Next on My Favorite Murder. Wow. Well, and then you lived. When did you get to leave?
We left around 3:30
p.m.
Yes.
So you woke up and what'd you do today?
3:30 on Sunday.
Right.
So today. So we just drove home and got home around 6.
But what did you do? Because you had already water.
Today we did water, and we did the rescue.
Oh,
today,
okay.
And then we did first aid. Tourniquet, and then
did you suck out the venom of a snake? Did he tell you that that's dumb? Because you're not supposed to?
No, I didn't suck out the... Sorry. I know this isn't exciting in your dragon world, but I learned how to do tourniquet stuff, okay?
They teach you what mushrooms you could eat?
No, but we did some other stuff.
Berries?
No, willow.
Oh, willow
He said
bark?
if you chew willow bark, it has the same effect as aspirin. It has the same sort of thing inside of it.
Yeah.
Celiac? I don't know. It had a lot of S sounds in it.
Okay.
But
because you could make it into a tea, and it's aspirin.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I have read a lot of historical fiction.
Oh.
And so all of these things, and I read all of Louis L'Amour's books. So I know
my
about
God.
many useless things but because I used to do a bit about how time travel, I think it's on an album because it never worked correctly, but it worked
So
okay.
put it on an album.
So put it on an album
Sure.
and then stop working on it is how it all worked out. But the premise was that we're going to kill ourselves when we invent time travel because everyone wants to go back and do something ridiculous.
Right.
Like, what were real pirates like?
Right.
Well, they murdered people. You're dead.
And they had terrible teeth. People had terrible teeth. You wouldn't want to look at anyone from 100 years ago or earlier.
Right, but what I would like to do, if there was time travel,
Right.
is I would like to go back to Wisconsin
Yeah.
in the 1600s and see old-growth forests.
Oh.
But I don't know how to camp, so what I would do is I would go back in time and die of exposure.
You would.
Yes, almost immediately.
That's the number one killer.
Is that what he
Jackie,
said?
Is exposure to the wilderness. Yeah.
So, okay, so I go to Portland, Oregon. I do like 5 new minutes, the 5 minutes that are essentially like the opening minutes of what will eventually be my new album.
Okay.
And then I
At
do the
on-
genocide
okay,
on,
yeah, yeah.
on the live
Burbank,
wire
yeah.
thing. And then I panel and I blow another 10 minutes worth of premises.
Oh.
Right. So yesterday I did Pardo's Smile Train benefit, which is so great.
Yeah.
You know, one of my brothers and one of my nephews both were born with cleft palates.
Really?
Yeah. And so
What causes it?
it's a genetic mutation, to my knowledge. But the palate is broken.
Yeah.
And so it will affect the lip, but it'll also affect the teeth.
Oh, my God.
So there's my nephew, Salmon, who designed the Ranger, the
Yeah.
initial Ranger logo, he had probably 4 or 5 surgeries all of his life. Yeah. So the initial surgery that Smile Train does is super basic.
Yeah.
But it allows them to live a semi-normal life and not be ostracized by
Right.
villages.
Optimum, they would
Yeah.
need 3 or 4 more surgeries.
Right, because you got to fix the teeth and the braces and it was very expensive.
Right.
And so, and there's varying levels of how bad,
Right,
you know,
right,
how
right.
bad the palate is split. Anyway, but it was such a good bet. They made like $100,000,
I thought it was like $1 million.
$200,000, maybe something like that. It was so much money.
I thought I read like an article of just how it's grown so much.
Yeah,
in the
he's
past couple
doing
years.
he's doing great work.
Yeah.
And so I burned another 5 minutes of material doing panel with him, and so what are you going to do?
Right.
But here's the good news: is I'm going to write more punchlines, and then eventually this will be on an album with those premises, but more punchlines.
Right.
That'll be fun for everyone.
Sure.
Look forward to it. Anybody who's still listening.
Oh, how much time have we done?
We've done 32.
32. Well,
okay.
let's take a break.
Yes.
I'm bailiff Jesse Thorne, and justice is within your reach.
My mom refuses to take my phone calls.
My boyfriend says I should take our cats with me to graduate school, but I think he should keep them.
In the court of Judge John Hodgman, justice rules.
My partner's board game collection is out of control.
My sister won't stop stealing my clothes.
I'm Judge John Hodgman. I'm tough, but fair. I'll bring you justice, and I'm only a click away.
Tipping, automotive etiquette, siblings, roommates. If you've got a case, go to MaximumFun.org/JJHO. Judge John Hodgman is tough, but fair. Subscribe to the podcast today.
And we're back.
We're back.
And let's do the comic of the week.
Yes.
Do
Meredith
we Meredith
Casey.
Meredith Casey. Do you remember Meredith
Yeah.
Casey? Can you find her Twitter handle? It's like Mordor. It's
Meredith is what it is in her spell.
yeah.
Okay.
And she, not to my knowledge. And if we have, she can join a small number of comics
Who we forgot we've already
twice.
done.
Live it up, Meredith.
Maysoon. Who else?
Right. It was. Well, I worked with her tonight, so
With
I did.
Maysoon?
No,
Oh,
with
with
Meredith.
Meredith,
yeah, and her stuff was really funny. She's.
At Meredith Casey High.
Oh, really?
Okay.
HIGH?
No, just HI. Just like
Oh,
saying hi.
like she's saying hi.
So
So
if you
Meredith
work-
Casey, HI.
Yeah, MEREDITHCASEYHI.
There you go,
That's
folks.
just
Find
like
her.
I thought it would be.
That's it. Worth a follow, worth a hilarity.
Was her intro a former Jackie and Laurie comic of the week?
No.
Okay, then she's
Then
good.
She was not.
Because I'm sure everyone else that's their top intro.
That's their first
That's
credit.
their credit.
Possibly their first credit.
Yes.
But she had some great stuff about therapy and really good stuff about having a
Postpartum.
Yeah,
baby?
having a baby and what that's like and stuff. It was funny. Anyway, it was interesting and quirky and they were kind of short but also personal. So I liked it.
Yeah.
I really liked it. So Meredith Casey, you guys find her.
Find her. And then there was so much drama with comedy this week.
So much drama.
There's another, and I don't want to get drawn into this, even though I'm outraged.
Or what are you outraged about? What did I miss?
No, wait, this.
Did I miss?
Yeah, hold on. It was on our text chain. We were talking about it.
Oh yeah.
Yes, somebody called out a club in town and that doesn't book a lot of women.
Right.
And I know whenever I'm there, I feel like the wait staff is so thrilled. It's a problem when your wait staff is thrilled to see a comic.
They're just excited. They're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, a different perspective.
Yes, right. And so I don't know. Again,
Well-
it's the same problem of like, I just want to work,
Yeah.
and I don't have the power to change everything.
Right.
But I am appalled.
And
I'm appalled at a lot of clubs too. And I look at their lineups and I'm just like, do you guys, how do you do this? How do you look at your calendar like that?
Well, and I look at it from a business perspective and they're throwing away money.
Yeah.
They're throwing away money.
Right.
Because more women would come to your clubs if there were more women. More Asians would come to your clubs if you book more Asians. More black people. More, the 18 to 34-year-old white guys know that there is stand-up comedy. They are aware that stand-up comedy is available from their perspective.
But also everyone does better when a show's varied, right?
Yeah.
If you don't want to be the 9th white guy.
No.
You don't want to be the 3rd or 4th white guy. You want it broken up.
Right.
I don't want to be the 9th woman. I like following different things.
Right. It'd be great.
It's for the audience can instantly reset if you look very different from the person that was in front of you. It's really easy,
Yep.
And then you start your set and here we go.
Yep. So there's no reason not to do it except for, I guess whether it's laziness.
I think it's laziness.
Yeah. It's either overt sexism and racism or laziness.
I think it's laziness.
And it might be a combination of both.
It's what's easiest. It's who do I know,
Yeah, who's in front of me? Who are my friends?
right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of writing jobs are like that too.
Oh yeah. Almost everything is like that.
It's very clubby, but I don't know. I wish
There are no unicorns. You can find one unicorn which will lead you to the rest of the unicorns.
What do you mean?
It's that whenever anybody says, I don't know any funny women comics, I'm like, I do.
Right.
Or if I were to say to Baron Vaughn, I don't know any funny black comics, Baron Vaughn would say, guess what? I do.
Yeah.
Because he will know, and he does. He knows. We've had this conversation before, where he knows more black comics than I do.
Right.
I know more women comics than most men.
Yeah.
Not Kyle.
Yeah.
But other people. It's it's the way it goes. It's like I told you that my sister had that they wanted to find black women financial advisors. Mm-hmm. And Darla said, I know one, and I bet you she knows 3 more.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the unicorn thing. They're not, they're not mythological. There's no, they exist. You can find them.
Right. Unicorns don't, though.
You're wrong. Unicorns are real. I'll be over here in unicorn land.
Jackie's crying right now.
It's so beautiful. You got to be a virgin to see them.
Well, we were waiting for you, Kyle, and we got so depressed, or I did.
Right. Well,
about our prospects.
Right. Well, the thing is, there's so many things. There's been so much drama, and I've just been barraged with so many people asking me what I'm going to do to fix stand-up comedy. and I was like, you have an illusion that I have more power than I do.
Right.
There's also another illusion that I'm more successful than I am when people who are more successful than me call me up to ask me how I keep going. And I love everybody, and these are people, and you know who has my phone number, by the way, to make that call?
Huh.
People I think that are funny.
Right.
People that I like. People that I admire their work.
Sure.
So if you've called me to tell me that you get to do something I've never gotten to do, and you're much earlier in the game than I am, and how depressing it is that you don't get to do other things, and how hard it is, and I was like, you're really funny. I really support your career. In other news, I'm going to go eat an arrow.
Listen, you present as somebody who's done 3.5 hours or 3 hours on Netflix.
You know, with the first time I was allowed to do Conan. Conan O'Brien was the first and only late night show that's ever had me. And it's been very, very supportive and very sweet of those people. Mm-hmm. But it was just like 5 years ago that I did my first. It was unbelievable. And I remember...
After how many years?
After, it would have been 25 years of doing stand-up comedy.
You got your first late night set.
Yes. And so... Well, and many people responded that way. They were like, what do you mean this is your first one? And I was like, yes, there is injustice. But but there's nothing, you get what you get when you get it, right? And so I have to believe that. And I have to also, but because I believe that, because I think I create this illusion of sanity, because that I work at very hard. It is an illusion of sanity. It isn't real. It is, but people think that I can fix the comedy, that I can stop sexism, and that I can stop racism, and that I can and I'm doing that bit about standing up to people. Mm-hmm. And so people say, well, are you standing up to these people, to those people, to this people? I mean, there's a litany of people I could be standing up to.
Right.
And I'm not. I'm not standing up to everybody, possibly because I'm exhausted. Mm-hmm. Another reason might be is I'm scared. Another reason I'm not doing... So I'm doing as much as I can, but I cannot fix everything because
It's bigger than you.
It's bigger than me, and
it's like you're trying to battle the Russian army. Like maybe you can nick one soldier, but you can't do it by yourself,
right? And people are like, "Well, isn't that how you want to go out?" And I was like, "No, that's not how I want to die. That is not that.
I want to die on stage like that dude in England.
That dude in England died on stage.
Yeah.
Was he getting an encore? Was he done with his set? Did we find out? Where was he? Did he get the light yet? What happened? Who finished? God gave him the light. And you're like, oh, I hope he got to do his whole set. I'm kidding.
He hated his clothes or decided
That's it. He was just like...
I mean, maybe, I hope he did the stuff he was working on. Right? And then he had that thought, all right, I'm going to the vault. And then his heart was like, no, you're not. We're done with the vault.
Yes, I hope he did his favorite jokes. Mm-hmm. And yes, I think I wouldn't want to be working on a joke that wasn't fit. Like if my last set is just a bunch of premises and I'm like, oh, like I was trying to do this thing about Indonesian food in the Netherlands tonight.
Yeah.
And they were just following me around. They were there. The audience was there. They meandered with me. And then finally I said the punchline. And luckily I taped it because clearly the setup was way too long. Because there was sort of this sort of collective, almost not a sigh, but they were all holding their breath for me to fucking get to the point.
Sure.
You're familiar with the with the problem.
Yes.
And and then when I did that, got a big laugh, which is great. But obviously I need to get there quicker.
Yeah.
That's not the last set I want to do. The last set I want to do is possibly a taping of my album.
Right.
Because that means that I think all these jokes are as done as they're going to be.
Right.
So,
yeah, I keep thinking, well, when my kid is grown, I'm gonna let the industry know I'm ready again.
yeah,
not this half-ass shit I do now.
Yeah, that's what whenever anybody talks to me about Laurie Kilmartin, they say, God, I wish she would stop phoning it in. I have to tell you something.
I'm telling you, like someone like Gary Goldman, right? It just seems like he's churning out a lot of material now, and he's on the road a lot, and he's...
Is he a writer on a late night show?
No.
Does he have a kid?
No, but what's what I'm saying? Like at one point,
just curious. Does he have 2 books out? No,
one point that won't be my life, right?
Right. It could be.
We'll see. Mm-hmm. But if it, but I is there going to be any career, any kind of comedy career for me to have after this part of my life is over?
Yeah.
Or am I just going to be teaching via Skype to comedy students, in Latin America or something?
Well, it certainly feels like you respect those people. You don't have to become a comedy teacher if you don't want to, but it is. No, there's going to be. The thing is whatever you want to do, and I genuinely believe this, you can do it to whatever degree is available. Right? I mean, it's whether or not the improvs will finally book you. Right? Then you'll be doing it in those venues.
Right.
If it isn't those venues, Gary Bynum is a good guy. You're going to go to Tucson. You're going to work that weekend.
I love Gary. And Gary pays in a way that will have me making my own shelter like I learned how to this weekend.
I have to tell you that somebody told me that they just saw Gary Bynum and was talking to him, and they said, the Jackie and Laurie Show, they talk about you and what a good guy you are and how... And I just want to tell you that, your room is kind of the perfect size for a live Jackie and Laurie in Tucson.
Oh.
And he said that Gary responded with, "Oh, they say I'm a good guy?" No response to live podcast as a show.
Here's Gary and Al Martin have similar qualities to me in that they're both super cheap.
Okay.
But they love comics in a way, and they're not sexist at all. I've never gotten a bad vibe from either Gary or Al.
There's clubs
in a business where I'm like, that guy's 1% off, that guy's 50. Where you're like judging how careful you have to be.
There's very real clubs in this country where, as a woman, I was just talking to another comic from Minneapolis,
right?
And she was talking about how one of the reasons that Louis Lee is a good guy is that you feel safe. And so I don't know what he's doing this next weekend, but you
don't have to worry about saying the wrong thing and accidentally
it's not going to get
triggering some kind of weird touching or something.
No, it's never going to get,
which is not common.
Which is not, but...
So when you find a club owner like that, okay, they're going to have other flaws. They're cheap as fuck, or they book Louis or whatever, but it's like, I don't have to worry about this guy.
Right, I'm safe.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a safety issue, and I don't know if you know this about being a grown-up lady or even a tiny girl child, but being safe is a huge fucking deal.
Yes. Yep.
And it is... There's an awareness that I have when I am with men that I don't know, that I'm just like, where are they sitting?
Yeah.
Are they sitting behind me?
Right.
Where are their hands? I mean, I am aware of it. I don't talk about it because it's so second nature.
Yeah.
That it's not...
It's like skin.
Yeah.
You just have it on you.
It's right. And so if things get weird, I have taken it upon myself to leave.
Right.
Which is, of course, not good for...
Costing you money.
Right, cost me money. Because if I don't hang out with those guys,
right,
I'm somehow not cool enough.
Then you're not on their mind when they're booking.
That's the real issue, is because I've taken myself out of the equation for the next when they think about booking somebody.
Right.
Yep. But I don't want to sit next to somebody who is weird. So and makes me uncomfortable.
Do you think when we're like in our 70s, we're going to get kind of the
next year. Wait,
like I have this theory that like when you're in middle age, if you're a woman, it's like, ugh, go away. We don't want you. And then if you live to be like 75,
have you ever felt welcome? Yes, go ahead.
But if you live to be like 75, all of a sudden you're this elderly kick ass fucking gives no fucks. And then they love you. Like Betty White, right?
Right.
Like if we just hang in there 20 more years.
How will we do it? How will we do it?
In so much bookings, so much money, Jackie.
Because the weird granny thing. Doesn't Emily Heller do a joke about that? She does do a joke about how mom who smokes weed versus grandma who smokes weed or something.
Oh, yeah.
And it's sort of that sort of thing. And it is... I think you're right. I mean, I think that there's a cachet or there's... People are they're like, she's old, but she's wacky, and God, we could do every dick joke we've ever. But the thing is I'm not saving them. I'm gonna do them now.
Don't save your dick jokes.
Don't save your dick jokes.
That's the only lesson to take from this podcast.
All right. It's spend them if you got them. Wait, smoke them if you've got them. Huh? Wait a minute. It's a dick joke about...
Oh, calm down.
Good Lord.
I've never seen you so excited.
Well...
That pencil is not working. Here, try this Sharpie.
Something... Write down whatever as a possible thing that we could call this program.
Oh my God, was that a sentence?
That was a... Kyle speaks Jackie. I was so sleepy tired because I did not want to go to Portland because I had just gotten off the plane,
right?
Emotionally, even though it had been, I think, 9 days, but I couldn't face it
from international travel.
International travel, very hard. And then, but I came back, and there was only 3 hours of sleep. You know, did you ever do Bridgetown and stay at that Jupiter?
Yes.
Doug Fir?
Yeah.
So that's where I stayed. And that hotel is adorable.
Yeah.
Instead of the Bible, they have every room has the 4 agreements.
What's that? I forget.
Oh, it's that written by a Spanish guy. And it's essentially, don't take yourself too seriously. It's not about you. Whatever the 4 agreements are, I can't remember. But I read it. I remember reading it. And it was...
you could draw on the walls there, I remember, right? Or the doors?
But the doors, sometimes they have the chalk paint, but they didn't in my room. In my room, I was staying at Jupiter Next, which is... It goes Jupiter, which is... But it's a super hip, like, party...
Yeah,
bar.
People have weddings there,
right?
And parties.
So, and I stayed there on a Friday night.
Oh,
I went to sleep. I tried to go to sleep at 11 because my flight was at 6 a.m.
Oh my God!
So at around 12:30, super drunk, laugh, shout, shout, shout.
Yeah,
woke me up. 1:30.
Oh no!
Laugh, shout, shout, shout. 3:30.
Oh my God!
Laugh, shout, shout. And I had to get up at 4 anyway, so I was up by 3:30. They've also removed all the telephones. There's no longer telephones. They have sort of a shitty knockoff of Siri in the hotel.
Oh.
Called Roxy.
Wait a minute. So the hotel is listening in on your conversations?
The hotel is probably any number of things, but who cares? But you have to say, hey, Roxy, call down to the operator.
Wait, her name is Roxy?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, my God.
It didn't work.
I can't handle sexy hotels.
Well, here's what happened. Oh, yeah, you're right. I unplugged it, and I was just like, we aren't in a relationship. And I just used my cell phone to call downstairs.
Yeah.
And left it at that.
Okay.
So that hotel is beautiful. The food is great.
Uh-huh.
It's too loud.
At that restaurant? Oh,
the hotel,
flapjacks?
At the Doug Fir?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the bacon?
Yeah, there's good times.
Yeah.
It's
yum.
I'm getting a colonoscopy because you did. I said, let's do it. Laurie had one.
You know what?
What?
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
It's going to be weird.
I bought What? Go ahead.
There's stuff I can't eat already. I can't eat any fiber for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
And then I got to drink all the fiber for the one day. And then
I bought a ton of chicken broth.
Yeah.
If you want broth. I have some. I threw away my lime jello. I just kind of was like, you know what? I'm fasting for the day, and I'm just taking the day off. We were on hiatus. It's a great way to spend your hiatus, is fasting for a colonoscopy. And it wasn't that bad. Like, it went really quick. They found a couple polyps, and did I tell you this? No. He said I'm genetically prone to polyps, so I have to come back sooner than 10 years from now.
Okay, because they're supposed to do them every 10 years. So if they don't find anything up my butt,
you're good.
I'm good.
You're good till 63.
It's
yeah, that's nice. Not me.
That is nice. No, you got to go back when? Every year?
The colonoscopist there said every year, but then when I went for the follow-up, he said every 3 years. Okay. So I'm gonna suss that out next year and see.
Yes.
Because maybe that guy's too liberal. 3-5 years, whatever. Right. I'm prone to it, but I've never had one before. So in my whole life, it took I only had 3 polyps. Is that bad? You grew 3
polyps in your butt? I don't know.
I don't look at it like 3 polyps on my butt. That's a little graphic.
Do you ever think about your intestines being as long as a football field? Do you ever think about that?
No.
I don't forget how long they are. Do you remember, Kyle?
I don't.
Okay. And I hang out with some people who got some information about how long your intestines were, because I told someone I was doing it, and they said that my intestines were as long as something.
Maybe it's just yours.
Maybe it's just mine. Maybe I have a really tall intestine when spread out.
Listen to the David Sedaris, Conan O'Brien podcast. They talk about their colonoscopies extensively.
I've heard David Sedaris' bit about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was in his last book.
Oh, okay.
Or book before last. Mm-hmm. And I listened to him all on tape because he makes me laugh, David Sedaris. I enjoy his work.
I just finished my the IRA book.
Yeah.
I mean, the book about, it's called Say Nothing. It's so good. This guy from The New Yorker wrote it.
Yeah.
And it's
nonfiction about the IRA.
Well, yeah. I mean, it hit me on every. I was like, ping, 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 ping.
Right. Somebody's got your number when it comes to bookity books.
Well, it starts with the murder of this Protestant woman who was married to a Catholic, and she had 10 kids. The father died. She's living in Catholic housing.
Okay.
And they decide, and no one knows if they were right or not. The IRA decided that she was informing. So they killed her.
Right. It turns out.
Yeah.
Thugs.
Anyway, so
the decision is made.
He uses that to just go into the entire background of the IRA, during the 70s and 80s. I can't believe Jerry Adams is still alive.
Who's Jerry Adams?
He was he's the guy who always said he was never in the IRA, but he was fucking running the IRA. But it was illegal to be in it.
Yeah.
So he was the head of Sinn Féin, which is the political arm. So he just always deny it.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, dude, we know. He apparently, under questioning, he denied that he was Jerry Adams, and everyone's like, "You're Jerry Adams." He's like, "No, I'm not." And he never broke.
Right?
They went, "Hold it. This is you. This is a picture of you." No, that's not me.
Oh my God, good for him. To some extent,
he ordered the hit on. So
Well, I mean, everyone's got to.
Terrible times.
They were terrible times.
But it's kind of being.
Did you ever go to Northern Ireland when you were there?
No, but I want to. That'll be on my list.
Yeah, you got to go to Belfast.
But it's being kind of reopened because of the murder of this journalist, Lyra McKee. Did you read about that about 2 weeks ago? She was a gay journalist. She's a really great writer, and she just has a book coming out called The Lost Boys about. Is it? It's something about kids during
the church thing, or no?
No. It's about the IRA and the troubles and stuff like that. But yeah.
We should take a break because we have 3 minutes left.
Hello, this is Amy Mann.
And I'm Ted Leo.
And we have a podcast called The Art of Process.
We've been lucky enough over the past year to talk to some of our friends and acquaintances from across the creative spectrum to find out how they actually work.
And so I have to write material that makes sense and makes people laugh. I also have to think about what I'm saying to people.
If I kick your ass, I'll make you famous.
The fight to get LGBTQ representation in the show.
We weirdly don't know as many musicians as you would expect.
I really just became a political speechwriter by accident of realizing that I have accidentally pulled my pants down.
Listen and subscribe at MaximumFun.org or wherever you get your podcast.
It's like if the guinea pig was complicit in helping the scientist.
We're back. What a terrible break. It was, but anyway, so she was murdered. There was guys. There was sectarian violence, right? So there's Catholics and there's British troops, and she was reporting on it. She was tweeting. She's like, "Holy shit, this is madness. Derry's crazy tonight." And she was standing kind of near British troops, and she was shot to death by Catholic protesters that were, some of whom obviously were armed militants. But anyway. What? The book's really good. And it was weird to be reading it as that was happening, because I was like, oh, fuck. Because there's a lot of IRA people that are like, what did we do all this for? Because the peace process didn't really change anything. It just, everyone kind of dropped their arms, but everyone died. Everyone committed murders and went through all this psychological trauma of whatever side you were on for United Ireland. It didn't happen. So anyway, it's I don't know that's the way to end our comedy podcast.
I don't know if you ever wrote any material about any of this stuff, but you should totally see how I brought it back right there. Yeah, I'm gonna go do stand-up comedy again.
Okay, I need spots this week.
Do you?
I'll just put it out there. Yeah,
put it out there.
Yeah, because I'm at Flappers on Friday and Saturday, but I just need to.
Did you submit it to Improv?
What?
Did you submit it to the Improv?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe something will pop up. You just want to put it out there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm canceling. Last week, think of your old pal, Laurie.
Well, last week, I essentially I was like, hey, I need a set. Hey, I need another set. And I just kept tweeting that until somebody goes, yeah, you can come up.
Oh, that's
And so I got to do, I did a work-in at Big Money.
Oh, cool.
And I did a work-in at Flappers.
Okay.
And everybody was very supportive. And I think they would be for you as well.
Okay, cool.
So, how are we doing? 30 seconds. Kyle, thanks for coming out and recording. It's so great.
Your hot chocolate. Now, okay. I thought it had gotten lukewarm, but it was still okay. It's still hot chocolate. You can't go wrong.
How could you?
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned.
Audience supported.